Yo, it's JK. If you want to know the realness that goes on in Hyde Park on a Sunday, speakers corner.
Content over everything.
Content over everything. My G's, yeah.
COE.
What I'm trying to understand is who is an Englishman.
Yeah.
Because you don't look English,
I'm not
but
English.
you are half English.
Yeah, but I'm
as
not
I
even
understand.
English at all. I can't be English. I'm not genetically English.
But I thought you said you had parents who
It
were.
wouldn't matter. I mean, there would be insufficient for me to
Do
consider
you have a
English by my
parent that is
definition.
English?
I have English blood, yes.
No,
but,
how much English blood?
So maybe half of my granddad is pure English, and my grandma, we only have very little records. She seems to be half English and something else, but she died in World War II. So no real records for her.
So
I'm a DNA record. Yeah.
So this is.
But I'm not English. It's very easy to waste time. I'm not English. I don't class myself. I cannot be English.
So you know the Queen is not English as well?
He can't be English. Can't
You
be
know the
English.
Queen is not
You
English.
can go all these old German. You can go back to all. You're trying to define your left-wing worldview of what we think. I'm telling you, we don't care about this analysis.
So-
we actually don't care.
What I'm trying to do, Ralph.
We
is-
don't care.
so
You can
what
talk
I'm trying
about
to
it. We're
understand-
not thinking that way.
what
we
was
know
the-
what the in-group is.
What we're trying to understand is
Ralph's not English.
I'm not English. Why do you keep saying I'm English, right? Yeah.
So
wasting my time.
What makes an English?
Let's say, for example, you could do a simple test, say a common test. Anyone with a generation of 1, 2, or 3 born in the island since 1950. So the cut will be anyone who hasn't got generation 2 in 1950, job done. Happy enough for us. That would be 98% of the ethnic stock, Huguenot hunting notwithstanding, and everything else, that would be considered in the in-group.
Okay, so is it
85% of the people today on the island meet that cut.
the out-group?
Right.
The out-group.
Anyone not in that group.
Even the language is dangerous, but the out-group. You're saying you're going to offer them. Let's say, like you said, Denmark's offering £45,000.
Voluntary, incentivized removal technique.
What happens when they say no? We don't want to go.
Okay, so now that we've settled down calmly, we say that the objective of all the nationalist parties, of which we're no different, is to have that number that's shrinking and racing down, that number in the bathtub going down, we call the Great Replacement. We're going to slow it down via just immigration, legally, I'll get to in a second how, and then we're going to reverse it and go back to where we want it to be, defining in-group, the Brits, or the Nigerians, or the Congolese, 14 for everyone, and we're going to manage that by what? First, slowing down, stopping immigration, looking at the people we decide shouldn't be here. Look at the triangle pyramid of people on the island we don't want here. Number one, just under 1 million with no right to remain. They're going to go first. Secondly, people who have just arrived, not even born here, got their citizenship papers and start committing violent crimes. Just like California, 3-strike laws, we're going to pick off the ones that are least favorable to us, not based on getting the Jews out or the Huguenots. That would not be in our policy position.
Am I allowed to stay?
Yeah. I keep changing my mind about you, man.
No,
One day more, one day more.
You're out, mate. You're out.
Ralph, it's a genuine question. Mediterranean till I'd say?
Yeah,
I don't know, some days say
No. He's saying it's literally for the English. So no, you're not.
Are the Greeks allowed to stay?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, what's that?
The Greeks, are they allowed to
So if you
stay?
take that this year a second, you can just start looking at the
Maybe
column and
take
going,
their
our
marbles
strategies.
back. Simple
So
question.
look at the policies of Le Pen, who's neck and neck in the polls. She's going to come into France for us, right? My mate in the FD in Germany. Look at Salvini. The policies, the ones we know with no complex analysis, aren't the ones we want, are going to go home. The Dalai Lama supports us as a moral principle.
Okay, so
The Dalai Lama agrees with us? I don't understand what your
The
moral
Dalai
argument.
Lama agrees with Mark Collett.
Dalai agrees
that's-
with the principle. Your obsession with Mark Collett is nothing to
No,
do
the
with what
Mark
I'm saying.
Collett's your bloody leader. It's
That's-
not an
no,
obsession.
notice the
He's the
conflation.
leader. He's the
right honourable-
poster boy of your movement.
The right honourable
Hold on a
gentleman from
second.
Finchley is
Okay.
conflating. Don't conflate. That's funny. No, but you're conflating. So the policy principle is not hunting Huguenots. It's not looking for these people. It's saying this is the group.
All right, let's work on
this
your
is the
basis.
generation one. These are policies and the people.
Let's work
not you
according to
guys.
your logic.
You're not. You guys are not our audience. You're not our fucking voting base.
When did
the
your
audience agrees with us, not you?
Grandparents, parents, when were they
Sucks
here?
to be on the
You're
other
saying
side.
it's post 1950 you're here?
come stand
It's
over
pre
here.
1950
You
you're
can
out.
come right here, mate.
So
No,
I'm
come on.
allowed in
I
because
haven't
my
heard the
ancestors came
Get in
in
here. I'm a
1970.
I want you to.
I'm a nationalist, and they're all really, really upset.
I want
because
you
they
to
need
go with
diversity
his
and
argument.
strength.
He sounds like he's got some. He wants to question your basis. So
Come on, get on with it. No interruptions.
right, so
You want to go? All right, let's go, mate. So,
simple question.
yes, sir.
We all know that the people that rule this land came to this land. So where did they come from? And
Well, that's
what is
easy.
your basis? And what you base?
Easy enough.
Yeah, go on.
So so if you look at the history of humans, we've always moved around. We come out of Africa.
No, English. We're talking about
Yeah, I'm
English.
talking English. I'm just
Yeah.
racing to the answer.
We don't need that. We just
You want
need
the
English.
last bit?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
so
the
last bit
English
just,
part.
we would say anyone with Gen 1 plus 2 since 1950, because there was no immigration until 1950. So that's our cut-off line, 1950.
That's an
pre
arbitrary
the liberal
number, though.
No, it isn't. It's very specific because it's pre-liberal law. It's pre no forced divorce. It's pre all the left-wing legislation. It's pretty specific.
And I think he's arguing why
And remember,
choose
we get to choose.
1950?
Remember, we get to choose anyway. We don't have to ask you what we want to choose.
Yeah, but
Like you didn't ask me if you want to wear that scarf. We're choosing
no,
this
it's
for this
irrelevant.
reason.
It's like he's
I mean,
saying
you can
people
understand
immigrated
our
here
reasons
before
what we
that.
pick, or you don't have to, but we've chosen
I think it's more important though, Ralph, because his clothes only affect how people perceive him. Your policies affect where we all live.
Exactly.
And what
Liberals-
happens to us if we
absolutely.
fall out of your
Absolutely.
in-group?
Absolutely, because liberals want, and the heart of their liberal system is freedom and tolerance. This is the liberal thing that we are fighting as Malays, that we believe is a bad world.
You're fighting
this
tolerance?
Liberalism, yeah. Not tolerance. No, yes, tolerance for tolerance's sake. Arbitrary, pathological tolerance, extreme tolerance, we consider it morally bad.
So would you allow Americans to stay? Would you allow Americans to stay?
Americans?
Yeah.
No, he's literally
So
saying
hang on. You wouldn't allow them to stay. So what if there's a
you
war?
get the race out of your
All
head,
right.
man.
What if there's a war? Who's
We're
going
not
to be your
about
ally?
race, huh?
If there's a war, who's going to be your ally?
We believe if you move that up to the stage above one level in the building, we believe if nation states are sovereign, then international relations can be served in a alliance and marketplace of like-minded nations, protected from no wars and bombing other
Why
countries.
would
no
nations
killing other
be
people.
like-minded?
Pay attention.
Why would nations be like-minded? You're
It
literally
wouldn't be.
saying you don't want people here because you don't believe they are like-minded to
Exactly.
you.
You're not making no sense.
Yeah,
we
but
know they
is that
are.
not a contradiction with
I
what
mean,
No, hang on, let me get to
diversity is a strength.
All right, let me get to
Right, look at
all
that.
right,
You
pay
think they're all
attention to.
like-minded?
All right, pay
Yeah, you
attention
mean-
for a second.
Mate.
Okay, so now we've established that you don't want an alliance with America because you don't
With
consider.
no, we have stronger historical alliance
Okay,
with
so
America.
historically,
Same
okay.
language, yeah.
Okay.
Semper Fi to all my American brothers and sisters on the right.
he's saying Americans as people.
They're all with us. We hail all our Americans.
Okay, so your party doesn't want an alliance with America, right?
Our party wouldn't. Our party is immediately wiring up to the AFD, ST, and everyone else who had the same things and have 5 years.
Are they communicating back to you? Is
hold
the
on.
FD conversation with
Oh,
you?
let me talk about all that stuff
Hold
on
on.
camera, shall I?
So once you've achieved your goal, right?
Yes, 2025.
All right.
exceeds.
Now
Here
you've
we
got to realize that the rest of the world will carry on as it is.
Nah, we're gonna copy and explode like we're doing across.
Yeah,
you
you're-
look at all the
you're
countries.
deluded, mate.
Let me help you with the data.
Now you're being silly.
No, let me help you with the data. I'm not being silly. I'm very precise.
You're telling
Since
me that-
1979, in this whole century,
You're-
no right-wing party ever got more than
That
2%.
is frivolous, mate.
In the last 20 years, that 2% has gone up to 5, 10, 15, 20, now tapping the post-20, early 30s barrier across Europe. That is the truth. Right? So, we will have PR. We have the best voices in the dissident right.
Did you say
I
the
bet
goal?
the
People
best
listen to us on social media. We've got scores of Zoomers and people armed up to the teeth. The young generation are ours, right? They grew up on Pepe.
Did you say the goal post
this guy's a
2025 was
Yeah.
to?
The 13-year-old boys today will vote for the first time.
But did you say was to invade other places post 2025?
No invasion. We don't want
Okay.
intervention. We want to just pull all the troops home.
So
Right,
you want
let's go-
to
let's go kill people on the land.
you want to
Keep this land,
build.
right? You do your thing, I do my thing.
Hold on for a
I
second.
didn't say I have a thing. I was just
No,
asking.
no,
what
I'm just
your
saying. I
thing
mean
is.
metaphorically. Well, you
Yeah.
know, England does its thing, France does. No need to.
Hold
do
on for a
English
second.
law.
So you want to build this utopia, right?
Not a
And you
utopia.
think-
We're going to reclaim our nation.
All right,
Building
you're
a
gonna
utopia
reclaim
sounds
it.
like a Wakandan dream.
Okay, you're gonna
reclaim
you're
our
gonna
nation.
reclaim.
Can I just
You're-
can I point one thing out? Ralph,
sir.
here's one of the fundamental flaws with your entire political philosophy.
Right, tell me.
You
It has no
You
foundation.
as a darker skinned man than me.
In a-
Yeah, no, 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 no,
Message.
no, no, no,
Not a strong argument.
Hear me out. Hear me
Yeah,
out.
not a strong argument there.
Have aligned yourself politically with the philosophy of this in-group. Yeah.
Correct.
You look at that in-group. You look at the political philosophy, and you think actually, if they'd have
I'm
me,
not taking a
Let me
reputation.
speak. Let me speak. If they'd have me, this would be a nice political home for me. Yeah.
That's not the way I think.
No, but it is, because literally, you're a brown person advocating for a white ethno-state.
So the
So,
first,
no,
the
hear me
first,
out, hear me out.
so the
Let
first
me
white
finish my
man
point.
standing against
No,
black
let-
slavery
let-
would have been subject to the
Let,
same
no, Let me
argumentation.
finish my point. Ralph, let me finish my point.
Actually, it's
What
fine.
you've described is civic nationalism.
No.
In the sense that, hear me out. You have a group which has a political philosophy which doesn't limit based on genetics but on ideas. You said you like this political philosophy, therefore you want to attach yourself to this ethno group, this political philosophy.
Call it nationalism.
It's not nationalism. I mean,
Why is it not
No,
nationalism?
because you define it yourself as ethno-nationalism. distinct from civic
Joseph,
nationalism.
we
I'm a
don't-
nationalist in terms of Zionism, yeah?
Correct.
I am a nationalist.
We are nationalists.
Israel is
But
a
we are
diverse
nationalists.
country.
Yeah,
yeah?
We get to define ourselves as. You can't define us as some other way.
You
we
can call
don't.
yourself what you want. You
We
can
are
call
nationalists.
yourself pansexual nationalist, whatever you
No,
want.
that's
It's
the
not
point.
my
We don't-
business.
the
It's
right
like,
don't
however
operate
you
that
want to
way.
define yourself, whatever pronouns
No,
you
but
want,
the
that's
right
your
don't
business.
think like that. We
Hold
think
on.
in the grounded sciences.
Hold
We're
on.
defining ourselves
So,
as what we are. Right?
I will say this,
So
right?
can I just finish?
I will
what
say-
what I'm trying to say.
Hang on a second, mate. Just
What I'm trying to say is, ideas are powerful. Ideas are good.
Yes.
People rally around ideas,
Indeed.
whether that's faith, whether that's politics.
Yes.
It's a very good system. It's a very
Correct.
good
The
way of
matrix, yeah.
structuring a society around an idea.
yeah.
Structuring a society
Exactly
around
what we can do, yeah.
Race.
race,
Not
not
race,
race,
what-
but genetics,
what-
ethnicity.
what-
Ethnicity.
There you go.
So, structuring a society around ethnicity
Yeah, it's
is
very
limiting. It's incredible
That's
because
the
you are not
argumentation,
you yourself are not welcome in
Take
that.
me out of the man versus
No,
message.
no,
is
it's,
irrelevant to the argumentation,
no, it's
right? Take the
absolutely
argumentation
relevant. It's
out.
because you are preaching this message.
You're an advocate for something that
okay.
doesn't want you.
Well, look, I could double down.
In a
I'm telling you,
nutshell.
I could double down and be. I could
In a
double
nutshell,
down.
you're an advocate.
I could double down
a party
and
that
stop
don't
being
want you.
polite. You can consider me a uber biological weapon. There you go. If that makes you feel better, right?
But what attracts you to this is not you're not attracted to Mark Collett's skin
World
colour.
peace.
You're attracted to his politics.
I don't think about Mark Collett. You think about him a lot. I
Well,
really
he's the
don't.
basic de facto leader
I
of
don't.
patriotism.
But I'm just saying honestly, I don't think about him in my space. My X
But
seconds per day. I
if
don't
you're
even think about
campaigning
him.
and advocating and helping
Okay.
build this,
Yeah.
it's like saying I'm advocating for Labour, but I don't like Jeremy Corbyn. I
No,
mean,
makes
no,
no
that's,
sense.
that's what I'm saying.
Makes
I'm
no
saying
sense.
you
it's like I love Nazism, just didn't really like Hitler.
No, but that's what
Yeah,
you're
that's-
saying.
look,
You-
how many Labour
no,
people did feel
that's
about
called
Jeremy
projection. What you're saying is not what I'm thinking. I can tell you what I'm thinking. I
Okay,
don't.
tell
I
me
don't
what you're
think
thinking.
about him all the time. I think about the mission. The mission is
All right.
65% of the British people do not want to be replaced in their homeland.
All right, I will say
that's
this.
number one.
What
Hold on.
What I mean,
I will.
they're
I
gonna
will
be
say
our
this.
picks.
I will say this.
Right.
Your
what-
ideas.
No, just 65%. What's that from?
Two different key sources. One, the project we ran with the statistical survey, go to We
So-
Were Never Asked, and the ONS data.
So
the
you're-
ONS data,
we were-
go to Migration Watch, 6 December. this year.
Migration Watch has never put out a survey
I'm
that
gonna
talks
leave
about
to
the Great
everyone else to
Replacement.
make up their own
No,
minds.
the Great Replacement.
To go to the ONS.
So you're saying that
Yeah.
the Migration Watch,
Do you-
which is the
are you
mainstream
hang
political
on,
think
Are you
tank.
denying the Great Replacement?
So I'm saying that
You're not
I
denying
don't
the
believe
Great
that 65% of British have said we
Separate
do not
point.
want to be
I
replaced
think we should go
in a
check.
poll.
I think you guys go check. We were never asked Margaret Laura Towler, ordinary English British people, and the ONS data from the 6th December. Let the audience decide.
So Mark Collett ran a survey.
Yeah, a whole bunch.
What was the methodology he
We
used?
were never asked.
No,
All
what was
all
the methodology he
All
ran?
available. We were never asked.
No, but
We
you're
have
here.
it.
I just
Because I
explain it
want
to me
race- I
now.
want to race over the point.
No,
Because for the
who was
audience,
surveyed? How
Okay.
was it made representative?
if you want to put on We Were Never Asked, just go look at it yourself. You can
Was
do
it
your-
YouGov? Was it a
I'll tell
YouGov
you what- I'll tell you
survey?
what,
Was
you-
it?
you-
How
no,
was the survey
the
commissioned?
foundation
How was
that-
it? Who was it
Okay,
fielded
calm
to?
down, Joseph. If you want the foundation data with no opinionated subjective bias, type in www.ons.gov and you will get the Office of National Statistics. The data, the 60% correlates with their sampling.
So
there you go, right?
okay. So the ONS.
Right. Which
When
the
they
ONS
feel
are not
when
a Nazi organisation.
the Office of National Statistics
It's
are
not.
legitimate. They have
At
never
least you got
ever
a common
they
ground,
have
don't you?
never asked
Right.
a question
Yes.
that said, "Do you want to be replaced in your own
No, they
homeland?"
haven't.
So what are you basing your stats from?
So on the data that we have. and
What was the question? You said
and
65.
migration-
What was the question that was asked?
Do you want to, anyone, do we want to migrate? Okay. So,
Yeah, get
I mean,
out the question.
I don't like phones and stuff. I think it's better to have a proper.
But no, if you
It's better
bring
to-
stats,
No,
you have to back them up.
I'm happy to do so.
Perfect.
My point. I'm happy to do so, but I mean, I just find it kind of like it's not as nice.
It's not as nice, but when you say 65%, because I think if you ask the British people, do you want to be replaced? Everybody in this park would say no. Nobody wants to be replaced. You're extracting this data point from a different question, and that's what I want to understand. What was the question?
Yeah.
It's a legitimate question to ask.
And furthermore,
It's okay, Joseph. Calm down. I'm going to get you lots of answers. All I'm saying is, like, you know, the people want to listen to the flow of information. So I was working on the trust strategy.
furthermore, your ideas are dangerous
Thank you.
based on the simple fact that you need allies. And if you're telling me that
We
Americans-
have allies across running out of Brussels across Europe.
Brussels.
His
As
ideas
the
are dangerous
AFD, the
because they've been
Swedish
tried
Democrats,
before.
the Vox,
Brussels.
Marine Le Pen,
His
all
idea-
reflect the people.
Nazis
His
too.
were not
ideas-
race
You can
realists.
pretend you don't know what
He
the
said it's
people
not
are
about
saying.
race realism, it's about ethnicity. Get your starry straight, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, come on. The gentleman from Finchley is unnecessary. This is not it. This is not a George Lucas 1970s get-up. This is much more genuine.
No, it says clan robe, which you actually put him with a dark wash. And
Out of curiosity, while I'm putting up the data, do you know how
So-
many immigrants arrive every day in the UK?
every day, no, I don't.
Do you know the net migration for a year?
So I
is?
think it was like 300,000 or 500,000
net
a year.
migration. Okay.
But 2D days a year. What I was going to say, these ideas are dangerous, not because of what they're saying, but because they've been tried before. They were tried before in Nazi Germany. It ended with the massacre of Romani gypsies, the massacre of Jews, the persecution of Poles, of Slavic people, the persecution of gay people, of communists, of a whole host. Your ideas have been tried before, and your leaders literally walk around with their symbols on them, and you're advocating for their politics. It's been tried before.
You're an advocate for a
and it
policy
led to the
that doesn't.
these are
respect
violent
you.
people.
I appreciate what you're saying, and
That
I really
is-
do, but I can separate myself, a message and a policy, from a person and a position. You're saying the British people don't agree with us.
Who enforces that
hang on,
policy, though? The
bear with me,
people.
bear with me, Joe. You're saying the electorate don't or won't agree with us. We take your criticism and your strategy guess on hand, and we thank you for it. Our polling and our data and our models disagree with you.
Every
So here we
single
go.
general
For the last Delta poll, hang on, it keeps moving.
Okay, but just to that point,
So
every
65%
single
coming
election,
up.
the far right have been smashed. In every election,
No,
the
incorrect.
people have spoken.
Incorrect, because incorrect data. So once again for
The
Joseph.
general election is not incorrect data. It's the most.
Will you allow me a little time, Joseph, if you don't mind? So if you look at the data off the top of my head, since the end of World War II in peacetime Europe, no far-right party has ever made 2% until 1979. Think of it as 1980. From 1980 to 1990 to 2000, and in the last 10 years, far-right support has gone from 2% to 10, 20, all the way to 25 to 28% across Europe, as Europe wakes up to immigration, that has followed that.
UK.
20% has given 97 seats to the AFD in 4 years, 60 seats to the Swedish Democrats in 3 years. We are coming in 2025 for 50 to 100 seats, because 2/3 of the English people don't want to be replaced with this.
But you keep
They
saying
don't want diversity. as well.
nobody's here to
You
replace
don't have to
anyone.
believe
We'll
me. I just listen to them, and that's what they're
So
telling me.
the elections tell us, what was UKIP to? UKIP were arguably the furthest far right party in this election. Yeah, you'd probably call them far left, but they were the furthest right party in this election. Yeah.
Just the left. Come on, they're multicultural.
So
I mean, come on.
yeah. So
Give me a
exactly.
back.
So you're a
So let me
multicultural
tell-
party
would you like to
headed
see,
by Sargon of Akkad.
Well, look, Dominic is doing the same thing I'm interested in doing. If you look at a computer science approach to these models, we see that 3 tranched events happened to the Conservative as the Overton window shifted in 4 years. We had Brexit, we had the initial UKIP, we got the referendum, we had the threat from UKIP dissolved, Farage had to show up, we got the Brexit sweep across the EU, they backed down to give the Conservative majority. The nation is swinging right. None of them are nationalists, and 60% of those people who support all of them are innate nationalists. Because 60 to 70% of the people don't want Oxfordshire to look like this. They don't want their young girls growing up in this. Only Londoners or the multiculti think that way. The rest of England does not.
The two largest far right parties, nationalist parties, have ever been in the UK, BNP and National Front.
Yes, but
what was the highest they polled?
I think they did 9 to 10% in 2004 or something. Wasn't it?
And so
a long time
many,
ago.
many years ago.
Yeah, because the Overton window many years ago,
the
Overton window many years ago did not have this amount of cultural enrichment. Just this sheer diversity as a strength.
This
they never,
cultural
they never
enrichment.
felt. Yeah, forget me.
I can't forget you. You stood in front of me, a brown man advocating white supremacy.
I know you can, Joseph. You're better than that. You can do the orthogonal separation. You can do it. I can help you. As a Christian brother,
so you had the
know,
migration. You had the migration stats. It's very important
very
that the cameras
cool,
get
yeah.
this.
So you
So
can
the
look at
60.
them
What
and
was
read
the
them,
what
it's
was
very
what was the
cool.
question that was asked where you said that 65% of the UK have said that we do not want to be replaced?
I think
What was the
roughly-
question?
Yeah, roughly was that question.
No. Yeah. So
you can do it again. I just brought it up and I went to
Yeah, sorry.
But anyway, so can carry on talking. That's great.
Okay.
I gave it to you a second ago.
The reason that the far right loses every single election, which is the definitive poll.
So you're
of British
telling us how
sentiment.
we're going to do, yes? Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's
telling you what's
100%. A bunch of YouTube trolls are not going to surge into
Why
power.
are you so worried about us?
I'm worried about you because you're neo-Nazis. They go around beating Jews up. And like, I'm a Jewish person. Neo-Nazis have a history of.
Can you start reading these as they flow through? I flow through to see a range of them. Just keep reading. The UK one's going to come up. I think it just slides every 2 seconds. Oh, I don't know if you can work. It's like an old site. It's not compliant. So nevertheless, we welcome the critiques from the right honourable gentleman from Finchley Road. And we look at it and we go, right, we understand it. No one's running around trying to warm up ovens or anything like that. We're looking for our seats in Parliament.
So the question he's basing it off, which is complete.
Have we dissected your leader?
It sounds like you want to do things like that. I'm a man of peace.
So
I can't support that.
He knows he's led by a far right, and he would advocate because he believes in his policies, not the person, and somehow separates. So, Ralph, this is why it's disingenuous what you're saying, though.
I can understand, Joseph, from the bottom of my heart, how you would feel this way, and particularly you're Jewish and I'm a Christian. So I can feel that love. I can understand where you're concerned. I can assure you, there are no Nazis running around anywhere.
There are no Nazis. You're literally running around with them, Ralph, and you know they are. And I'm not gonna say how you know that they are, but you know they are.
I can't hear
so
you. So
just can I?
Oh, he's already been through all that.
We've been through it. He said he would advocate for it. So there's
not all Jews. Not all Jews.
So the question he based his statement that 65
mainstream media, COE, 14 of everything.
65
rise up.
65%, or is it nearly two-thirds of Britons say immigration is a substantial concern. That is very different.
Correct.
Very different to what you said.
That's a top of our demand.
If you did a poll round here, people, irrespective
in the middle of multicultural diversity.
Irrespective of people.
What do you think you did?
No, I think most people.
10% white tops
Ralph,
on a good day.
Ralph, it doesn't matter. I think most people
we're not
here.
asking these people.
Most people here believe there should be controls on immigration.
But we're not asking these people. We're asking ordinary English people around the country who never see this.
Ralph, you're not listening. I'm saying these and ordinary people.
Oh, yeah.
Most people believe in immigration controls.
I
most people don't believe in open borders.
I like the way you think we don't have a demand for our product. And all I can assure you again and again is thank you for your input. We believe we have, and we're executing plans against achieving that.
But the troubling part for me, Ralph, is that you call yourself a...
And I'm not a Nazi, sorry. I mean, I can't be a white supremacist for an obvious reason.
But you are advocating for the election of neo-Nazis.
That's your obsession with the neo-Nazi thing.
My obsession with neo-Nazis?
Correct. It's because there are no neo-Nazis running.
Mark Collett isn't a neo-Nazi.
The party is
No.
But we went through
on
this
record. On record. Yes. Mark Collett isn't a neo-Nazi. That's what you're saying.
He's not claiming it.
He was thrown out of the BNP for Nazism. He's on record on a Channel 4 documentary.
Absolutely. Look up
praising and idolising.
Yeah.
You've seen his girlfriend's swastika on her chest.
I know. You've been on this again and again.
He makes dozens of videos against. Ralph. He makes dozens of videos against the Jewish people.
Yeah. He has hundreds of thousands of millions of young boys who don't listen to his narrative and care. They don't care about your narrative. I can't speak for them.
No, I'm not speaking to a 15-year-old kid in his basement. I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to you, Ralph.
They are listening to him.
I'm speaking to you. And I'm saying you're aware of all this.
The entire movement, absolutely.
You are aware of the anti-Semitic videos he makes.
I do. I know the JQ on all sides.
You are aware of his Nazi past.
I'm not Jewish or white, so I can have a detached view of the JQ.
You are aware of his Nazi views.
Yes.
Yeah. You are aware that his girlfriend has a massive swastika on her chest, and they were out campaigning for Brexit together.
Time you want to repeat that.
No, but you're aware of all of these things, and yet you will lobby for him.
I have hundreds of kids I can connect to all day that send me Nazi frogs, green frogs with symbols. None of them are Nazis. None of those people, if you go to 4chan and Paul, Generation Alpha, all the Gen Zers, all the Zoomers, Hail Nick Fuentes, 19 years old to 21, young kids growing up going, hey, that stuff is just wrong. And hey, I'm going to send you a Nazi flag because it really triggers you. They're not Nazis.
They're not Nazis, yet they worship it.
No, because it really gets the mainstream establishment.
So if everyone's just joking, how do you identify a real Nazi? How do you identify a real Nazi?
I'll get to that.
Tell me.
Joseph, I'll get to that. But you're a really, I rank you in the top 3 debaters in the park any day of the week, and I've only been here a year. If you look at it something else, right, there's a countercultural war that has transformed from the 30 years of the left who are now stale. They have their diversity, unity, rainbow spectra. the edgy counter-right are counter-cultural. Like the 60s were counter-cultural. They're young boys going, they're 10, they're 12, they're 13, they're smart, they grew up in YouTube, they're going, what'll piss my parents and my school off? Nazis seem to get the entire left wing to go into disarray. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to gas the Jews was trending on Twitter by millions of kids who have no interest in gassing the Jews. They wouldn't. They're interested in smashing the left-wing narrative.
So this
and
movement,
we're winning that war, mate.
This movement is
We're
larger in
winning that
America.
war.
This movement's larger in America.
They're my brothers in arms. We're wired up like this.
What happened in Pittsburgh? What happens in America with these 13? You describe them 10 to 13-year-old boys.
Correct, generation. Now we're an alpha.
What happen? What happens in these synagogues?
But you mean you can't take a random shooting incident?
A random shooting incident
you can't
that's
take that,
motivated by your ideology.
But that's
That's motivated by the people who digest college videos. No. So where do these shooters get their inspiration
hang
from?
On, calm down a little bit. What I'm saying is, if you look at other such shootings, it's always young males. Look at incel shooting. Looking at lone wolf shooting. Look at your Nazi type shooting where they lob. Look at Dylan Roof. And you'll find the common pattern, bear with me, the common pattern is disassociative, unatomized young men with anger and no power.
Do you say the same for jihadi?
It's same with jihadis. This is the
No,
problem.
so
hang on a second. So I'm saying these disillusioned young men is an example of the failing of liberal culture. They're out of a pack. They're isolated. It's a symptom of the liberal left-wing nihilistic failure of society.
You know what you
They're
sound
no
like?
longer traditionalists. They're no longer family-oriented. They no longer find a wife. Look at Islam.
You
Islam
sound
has
like-
all of these things. Islam has tradition. It has values. It has people knit together. It hasn't lost its core traditional axiomatic structures.
So
Liberalism has caused lone
you
shooters,
cannot
women cock hopping on Tinder. Right, and they can't find a man and hyperbole. These are just failures of society.
Okay, so let's
dressed in all sorts of multi-gendered
This
modes.
is what scares me the
Right?
most about what you're saying, Ralph.
Oh, guys,
Is
fear.
you detach the ideology from the individual. It's literally
Clinically,
the man is
like Sherlock
slapping you.
Holmes.
He's slapping the
Like
Jew,
Sherlock.
and he's saying, "I'm slapping him because he's a Jew," and you're saying, "No. He's slapping the Jew because he doesn't like liberals."
I can appreciate
it's
the
that.
slapping.
No.
I can
Because
appreciate
it comes.
the
You know what?
Jew
You remember?
slapping
Ralph, I'll let you
thing, right?
speak. It reminds
Take
me.
time.
It reminds me of some of the Muslims in this path that are apologists for the Islamic State. They will say it's not Daesh, it's not the Islamic State. If the West only got out, it's the West that's the problem. It's not the Muslim. It's not the radical Muslim who picks up a gun and murders in the name of his religion, in the name of his ideology. They try to separate the two, and that's exactly what you're doing. When hear me out. When a neo-Nazi goes into a synagogue and guns down 50 Jews, and he says, "I did this because of this social media, because of this problem that I have with the Jews," that live streams it, and he tells you explicitly why he's killing them.
Absolutely,
You're
absolutely.
saying, no, mate, it's
that-
the bloody liberals.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he is a symptom of the liberal malaise that created him. He never existed in a vacuum. He might have been 24 years old. Where did he come from? He came from a liberal society, probably a broken home and a family, probably detached from a mother. He has lost that traditional fabric that created such creatures. I would join you. I would join you in judging him.
I'm nervous.
I would join you in. Have you installed it? I would join you in condemning that behaviour. If, for example, anything like a New Zealand shop, I would join you condemning that. But it's a symptom, Joseph. It's a symptom of atomized young white males taken out of the sexual market, taken out of the traditional nuclear family, looking at their country being given away to this.
Why
they
do they
are
target
rising
Jews?
at a speed you can't even
Why
understand.
do they target
And they're
Jews?
coming to us.
Ralph, why do they target Jews?
I think it's
why do the far left
frustration
target
and
them?
bad data.
Bad data. Where are they getting that data from?
All sorts of crazy places, mate. But I will sort it out.
Collett.
I will sort it out.
They're getting it from Mark Collett.
Oh, that's okay.
They're getting it. They're
That can
getting it
be
from Richard
sanitized.
Spencer. They're getting it from the
I
people
assure you,
that
I
you
can
wrote.
sanitize. I can sanitize any misunderstandings of data. So data
But you
sanitization.
haven't done that. You haven't done that well because they're still
Well,
making
you're not-
anti-Semitic live streams. They're still making literally every live stream is about
Look,
Jews.
at the end of the day, I can appreciate everything you're going to say and see as Judeo-centric because you're Jewish, and I can stand with you as a Christian, and as a Christian with love in your heart to say, I stand by your fear and concern as a Jewish person. But the majority of the rest of the people in the UK are not Jewish.
I agree.
Their primary concern, they don't think about Jewish people, Nazi symbols, or Mark Collett 99% of their time. They think about immigration, health, and schools. Now, if you think that concern, that base concern across England is going to end up
Then
with
why
Jew
is
hunting,
Mark making
that's not gonna
videos
happen.
constantly about Jews?
But again, look, if all
No,
I
no,
have
no.
is a hammer, everything I see is a nail. If all I see is Jew Nazism, I'll see Nazis everywhere. If all I see is 9/11 conspiracy, I'll see 9/11 conspiracy everywhere. If I'm a vegan or flat earth, I'll see vegan in everything.
You're like the flat
It's heliocentric.
You're like the flat earthers. Like literally, you don't see Nazis
No,
anywhere.
I'm opposite. I'm like Sherlock. I'm right above all of it. I can see all of you in my silly little
You're
head.
on the live stream. All they talk about is the JQ.
That's not true. You're only seeing JQ everywhere. They talk about all sorts of things: immigration, Islam, schools, erosion, languages.
And who do they blame for all of that?
JQ bit,
Ralph,
and you're
who do they
ignoring
blame
everything
for all
else.
of that?
No,
They don't.
No,
all
who
blame.
do they blame?
They don't
But
always
they don't
They-
blame all.
the
Listen to the
JQ.
younger generation, man. They don't think like that anymore. Nazism. You only know T plus
like
3.
you.
No. Could I be a Nazi?
Hey.
Could I be a Nazi if I wanted to educate
nice,
children
Jimmy.
to be very proud of their Indo-European roots and their culture, the art,
No.
without not having
No,
anything to do with the
You'd
JQ?
be a Nazi if you read Mein Kampf or on record praising Hitler. You're on,
I read the Quran. I'm not a Muslim.
Hear me out.
I mean,
Hear me out. Or on record denying the Holocaust. On record praising Hitler. On record walking
Yes.
around with your partner with
I
a
told you
swastika.
why.
On record wearing Nazi symbols.
It triggers people.
But the Nazis.
He's been doing it for 20 years, Ralph. This isn't about triggering people.
But
He's not a
you
child.
must
He's not a
remove-
10-year-old in his mother's
must
basement.
remove your
What's the kind
obsession
comes
with
from
him.
India?
That's the movement.
And he's the leader.
But the
You
swastika
must
comes from
remove
India.
that obsession.
Well done.
Yeah. So what if it was just in that
So
symbol,
he's
not
the
the
leader.
Nazi one?
So that's
But it wasn't. It was the Nazi one. It was a
Well,
black and white.
Theoretically speaking, what if that was the case?
But we don't have to deal with theoretical, hypothetical questions. We can deal with the reality. Like
Right,
literally,
I'm
you're
trying to find a grey line, you know.
You're Nazi apologist. Yeah, it really is. You're a Nazi
No, I
apologist,
just think
and you're
he's not-
advocating
I
for a
think
Nazi
he's not had a
party.
good
Jimmy,
argument.
but you see, every time you say Nazi, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, which we watch all this on our networks you can't even see, are just going to be strongly more assertive in the position that Nazi is not an argument. It's Godwin's law. So if you just keep going Nazi, all the kids are going like,
I wanna
hey,
bring- I
I
wanna
don't know
bring
what the
back-
Nazis were. I don't even know what I play
So, Ralph,
Call of
I want to
Duty
bring
with
back the
Batman.
British Empire.
If we're talking about groups like UKIP, if we're talking about Tories, if we're talking about groups where they're wrongly named as racist or Nazis,
They're not.
completely agree, they're not. But we are actually dealing with people who walk around with swastikas, have a history of being with neo-Nazi parties who've built a platform by attacking minority communities and Jews. So it's not Nazi, it's actually Nazi. These are Nazis.
No, I understand that. I can, again, once I can cycle back and say, you can see that, but the majority, by numbers of the people who are young kids, they don't think Nazi. You say Nazi, they think Call of Duty. They don't think anything Nazi. Do they hate Jews? No. You say Jew, they think, oh, you're triggered. These people are not Jew haters. Calling them Nazis might make
They
them
literally go
Jew
into
hatred.
synagogue and shoot Jews to death.
You
And
can't
you're
take
saying,
one idiot and make, I can't blame Islam for London Bridge.
everywhere we look at this ideology, everywhere we look at this ideology, it's
But we're
surrounded
not
by
the-
death and violence.
But we're not in this idea. You're arguing against yourself. We are forming, like the AFD and the Swedish Democrats, we're wiring up the first British nationalist party, is what the people want. It's democratic, it's clean, it's not like a Tommy Robinson movement, there's no drunk people, it's
nothing
ordered,
wrong with Hungary, is there?
inspired. Exactly what good people, like Marine Le Pen has, like the Swedish Democrats, now like Vox, like Salvini, like Austria, but there's been no British one. We'll have resistance because the Brits have been liberal, especially the London ones, but the majority of the country say yes. No more immigration.
Do you ever
Some of the
leave
guys
London?
have to go.
Do you ever? Because I come from the north. I come
travel
from the
a lot.
white working class community of
I
north.
know England about that.
Yeah. And
can
your
see-
perception is outside of London, everyone's just a little bit more
No,
like
I've been to the
you.
middle towns. I know everything. I've seen the diversity. I've seen the segregation. I understand.
No, not diversity. I'm literally talking. My community, like where I grew up, we were the only minority
I live in
other than
data.
those
I'm a
Chinese.
computer scientist. I just look at data.
Well, this is
man.
maybe the problem. It turns you into a robot, and you have no humanity, and you can't recognise these movements.
We need to be less feminine.
Less feminine. You're wearing like Little Red Riding Hood.
This is very masculine.
Hail, Jamie! So anyway, mate, if you sign up to patriarchal terms,
back the old
you'll
European
follow
culture.
what the right-wing birth of a movement. That in 5-10 years, you'll be like, gosh, I remember it day one. We can't stop. We own the right-wing dissident voices across all social media. We're legion. I mean, you can't stop us. We're just smarter, quicker, brighter, faster. We have
Really?
lots of young kids who are
We're
just
not-
And that's
actually
why
motivated.
they are
They're
empowering
so
government,
motivated.
because they are so.
We brought President Trump in with one of our guys to Hillary with that single quote that defined the world media zeitgeist when he interrupted her and went, Pepe,
Ralph.
and the entire media world collapsed. What is this from?
Ralph, you
We're gonna
keep
do the
saying
same
you
thing
brought
with
Trump into
2025.
power, yeah?
Absolutely.
I watch Trump's Twitter feed. He shares my videos, yeah?
Because he's can't.
No, he shares my videos.
I know you get a little bit. Everyone's Israel advocacy movement. He's had a Trump retweet, like, share.
But what?
Inshallah, it's the right thing
what
to
I'm
do.
saying, he's got Jewish children.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're
course he is. He's
saying
married into
that
Jewish
you,
family,
and you're saying,
I don't hate Jewish people.
no, but you're saying that the alt-right
That's over now, the alt-right.
brought Trump into power.
Yes.
You're deluded.
No, I'm not. You missed the entire cultural war. Why do you think? Do you think MAGA?
What did you do?
Do you think
What
MAGA?
did you personally
Hang on,
do?
a second. Take personalities
Okay.
out of it. You're better when you don't play the man. I play the ball. What did MAGA? Where did these thoughts come from? They came from meta-political ideas. Where were they sourced digitally? In the voices that made them. Do you think those voices arrived out of nowhere?
I think this is the beauty of the alt-right are like the far left.
The
They
alt-right
claim credit for
the alt-right is
everything.
complete. The alt-right is sunk.
They take credit for
Yeah.
everything that
Good
they
Lord,
don't do.
We can
Trump
trigger
was
you.
us.
We can get your world media to explode with like 4 or 5 letters. That's how much power we have. We can mimetically change anything right on this conversation.
All these MAGA guys, they're not retweeting Colin. They're retweeting people like me, Jews.
We're moving them
They're
all.
retweeting Jews. They're
Hey,
not Nazis
God
like
bless,
you.
God bless, God bless Joseph. Israel advocacy movement. Like, subscribe. Trump is locked on him. Trump, as we know in the nationalist right, is in bed with Israel. We in the nationalist movement reject that relationship, unless it's under our sovereignty. So, but we big up Joseph for doing that. I'm using black ethnic.
So you personally now reject Israel
I
because
love Israel. I'm a Christian.
I'm like
it's my
so
holy land.
confused.
You're
a
seem very
Christian
confused,
that rejects
Joseph.
Israel,
Yeah.
that runs around
I
with
don't-
pagans,
why
like
do you say
racist
that?
pagans,
The left,
like
the
Obi-Wan
left-
Kenobi.
The left like to throw names
These
at
are
you.
not the pagans
Nazi,
you're looking for.
pagan, German,
No, it's just as a very bizarre Christian
name
position.
Name calling, not values and principles. Not
No, it's a
values
very,
and
very,
principles.
but you do have to. You say don't pay attention to the man. We have to pay attention to the man.
I don't say
Like
that. I
you're
say I understand why you of all people would be zooming
But
in on
like,
it. I
I
get
don't
it. I'm on
underst-
your side.
I
I
don't
understand
understand-
why.
We can replace
I
him.
understand why.
You can replace him.
No, Mark Collett. the
Mark
leader.
Collett.
Yeah.
So you heard this. Mark, watch out. Obi-Wan's going to replace you in your own movement.
Only if he does a bad job.
We supported, put all our energy into our young lads in the right, starting at 13 upwards in GT-1 as we approach 2025.
So
Yeah.
thankfully,
You know who you are, Groiper Stormtroopers? Yep. Yeah, hail Nick Prentice. You should keep up with us, man. We're so much further ahead.
Nick Prentice in his
You like Nick
multicolored
Prentice.
Hawaiian shirt. Like, he's a clown.
The Latino camp
He's
is
young.
conservative.
No,
Just
he's a
Latino
clown
camp
though.
is
He is a
conservative.
clown.
He's
Yeah,
young.
more
He's
people are listening to
another
than that.
person who
anyway.
obsesses over Jews. Nick is another Jewish
Again,
obsessed.
you're back to
They're
it.
literally
He'll mature.
obsessed.
He'll mature. He'll mature later.
So who doesn't? Forget all the Muslims, Christians. Who in the world don't obsess about Jews? Because in there, the Muslims do, the Christians do, the right do, the left do.
Yeah.
But you
Let's
question
drop the
every
pretense.
can you name the group
The
who
civic
don't think about
nationalists,
the
the
Jews? It makes
liberals.
you think who's not thinking about the Jews. So just so you know.
We're not monsters, we're just ahead of the curve.
Yeah, just way ahead. And I told the Groiper Stormtroopers, yep, you know what I mean? This will all be distributed because this is a fascinating example why liberalism has run out of intellectual steam. It is morally bankrupt. And to save men and women and people today, we intend to bring back solid, healthy, traditional, family-friendly ways of looking at the world.
It's going to be so sad
Yeah,
when they keep
egalitarian-
on you. You're going to be absolutely gutted.
Egalitarianism is a lie.
Come and go and speak to Bob now. He's over there.
I want to get a coffee and stuff, man.
He's terrified of Bob. That's the Christian angle.
I can't be. I'm in servitude for Bob. I'm in deference to Bob. Bob's the leader of the Bob.
What does Bob make of your Nazi
I
friends?
guess you can come on and
About
find
to
out.
find out.
About to
We're about to find
'Cause,
out.
I mean, Leon is really running out of snipers
Yeah.
at this point. He's running out of snipers. He's been trying to snipe, and right now the resolution of what comes through from the Lord Jesus Christ, and the fact that England belongs to the English, just like Nigeria belongs to Nigerians.
Ireland?
Nothing's to the Irish.
So why are the English still there?
Yeah, we must
Why are the English still
support
there?
the
Why are the
existence
English
of.
still there?
That's what we have to mediate
You've got to
in.
think about that
So,
one.
like what we like to say, glory, glories, segregation,
Words
glory,
are
glory.
ambiguous.
It's quite humorous. Just aside, this is all liberal. You see what I mean?
But it's not funny.
Never know where it could
No,
end
it
up.
is to us. That's why we're winning.
No, but it's not for you because that's a fake laugh.
No, it's not to
That's
us.
not a real laugh.
Do you think Israel would love singing that song?
But really, is it, how segregated is Israel?
Well, they don't want the
I've
whole
never
world
been to
coming
Israel.
in, you know.
God bless the
It's
whole
got a
land.
larger minority community than the UK.
Yeah,
Right,
but
but
it's still a
there's strict
civilized
boundaries.
structure.
What are those boundaries?
Well, that only Jews are allowed self-determination in many ways more than, say, other minorities.
How many
does that mean,
how many
self-determination?
Jewish women in Israel have black partners?
How many Jewish women?
What percentage of Jewish women have black partners?
I don't know, but Jews are black. Jews come in all different colours.
No, but I'm not talking about non-black Jews.
Would you think that?
What percentage have blue?
I don't know what percentage of.
Okay. I mean, everyone should check out and have a look. So, because frequently the diversity, the problems with civ nationalism, why you're losing, is diversity for thee, but not for me.
No. So this is where most people.
Because we're anti-diversity, right?
So you build your society around genetics. That's basic.
Genetics?
Yeah, ethnicity.
Again, we don't. Yeah.
English people.
There's a thing called English people.
But for you,
there's a thing called a Pakistani guy. There's a thing called like a Dane, a Swedish guy. But we respect and value.
But you say you're not ethnically British.
Me, of course not.
Yeah, but you've been here.
I stand on the side of Prime Minister Modi of India, the world leading example of right-wing
Your parents
nationalists.
were here pre-1950, yeah?
But the person's not boring. Yeah.
No. So just be important. It's about race.
Yeah. No, it isn't.
It's about genetics. Sorry, not race.
No, it isn't. You get it right.
So you said
it's about not the other. It's about
Pre-1950.
ethnicity.
Pre-1950.
Ethnicity.
So you say, literally.
Yeah. Pre-1950, this island was genetically different. Countries would have had different genetic patterns depending where their history was. So look at the Arab nations. They would have had post-nationalism, nationalism, right? Then the failed Arab Spring, and they're trying to get national. Each nation state will have its history that has different groups and moving in and out. We know what the British one is. Do we care about British national? We know there's a thing called English people. Yeah, we know who they are and what they are. We want them to have England. It's not more complicated than that. They don't want to kill Jews. They're not Nazis.
But
they don't want to harm the Jews. They want
the person
England
with brown skin who's been for 100 years
people.
isn't English, is what you're saying.
Yes.
So I'm saying you can't separate the genetics from your ethnicity.
Of course.
Perfect. So that's what I'm saying.
So can you and I be
But
Chinese, Joseph? Can you, in your world model then, can you and I be Chinese?
Okay, can I just bring it back
can
to
Israel?
Israel?
Can we ever be Chinese? No, just quick. Can we ever be Chinese? Can we ever be Chinese?
I'm not arguing against ethnicity.
There you go.
No. So hear me out. Hear me out. What I'm saying is, if you go to Israel, if you go to Israel, it's all different. There's different ethnicities, and they correlate around. They correlate around a collective, a set of collective values, and anyone can adopt those values.
Proposition. I understand my values. I'm saying, but my values comes out of my ethnicity. And yes, you have someone of a different ethnicity that adopts the values successfully, but you have ones that don't. We're not throwing out. We're not throwing out my values. We're not allowing it to be detached from my ethnicity.
You are culturally, despite being of Indian descent, you are culturally more aligned with an Englishman.
The first white man who stood here and fought against black slavery that was wrong for black people is the same thing all 9 whites should do and stand up for England for the
English.
English.
Ralph,
stand up and make yourself
You're arguing
known.
with something I didn't say. I said you have more culturally in common with an Englishman than an Indian.
I can switch, I'm very fluid.
You can switch.
You can.
So you would switch and you would just
revert back to Hindu religion. Like 5 Indians.
So are you about?
Are
you about to take on Hinduism? Or are you going to take?
I support the Indian nationalist movement, and Modi has said to us he can deal with people like the AFD. Modi, with 300 nuclear weapons, can deal with the Swedish Democrats.
Are you ashamed to be an Indian?
Yeah, Modi.
I'm praising India right now.
No, but you've
I'm hailing our Indian
the religion.
If I'm in India, I won't be talking about England. I'm talking about Indian issues. I'm in England.
No, but you've rejected your ancestral religion.
I go there all the time.
No, but you've rejected your ancestral religion.
Christ arrived 2,000 years ago. If you call that a rejection,
no.
I reject Moses.
When did you embrace?
Thomas,
when did you or your parents embrace?
St. Thomas.
St. Thomas. So you've been in India Christians for a long time.
2,000 years.
Okay, no, that's fine.
After Age of Christ, the
okay,
first
that's
doubting
fine.
Thomas.
That's fine.
The churches are.
It's a very diverse
churches
country.
are 5 kilometers away from where the ship port landed.
No, and that's cool. Then you are true to your ancestral, so I've got no argument there.
Exactly. Christ is not like a white religion.
It would have been look more like you than me. But anyway,
it's one of your kids. Anyway, it's good to have a bit of understanding of the issues and stuff. I love coffee.
Be honest,
we can go around
camera, it is
2
disappointing though that you are running with colours.
I appreciate why you'd be alarmed, but trust me, that no one's out to kill any Jews or Nazis. No Nazis anyway. And stuff. A lot of kids are going to troll you when you say that. They're going to troll you, but they're not. They're not. I mean, they're like young kids.
I mean, you know what they are because they came on my live stream when we live streamed with Mark. So you know exactly who they are. And I know what you said afterwards. And I know what.
I've never seen
the camera, but yeah.
Anyway, I really haven't said sticky.
Yeah.
Coffee. Nice, we do another one later, man, if you want. Coffee. So, shalom, man. Peace.
Shalom, indeed.
ContentCOE everything. From now to Benjamin.
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV. Listen.
The mother of battles. Yes, my brother. Yeah, he will use it like the mother of battles has begun. Like that is the first battle on earth. Now, what I'm trying to say is, when Jerusalem was conquered, and the Amalekites were killed, the Girgashites were killed, the Canaanites were killed, the Jebusites were killed, the Bible says, kill every living thing. I think it also says poison the water, leave no stone unturned. Leave only the young girls or young children or something like that. I think it says kill livestock even. I actually don't believe that happened. I believe when a tribe, a gang, a group, a constituency is new in the land, you have to announce your presence by talking yourself bad. Bad in those days meant good. So I'm saying like we bad. Y'all saw